if you pay for any services, if you outsource anything in your business, then this is a concept for you, and it's called how to be dangerous. Now, it's something that I live and breathe. Honestly, it's a concept that I would die on the hill for, purely because I have made some expensive mistakes and some very costly mistakes in my time. And so this concept of how to be dangerous in something is what you need to live and breathe by. I think as I said, if you outsource anything in your business, in your life, if you pay for services from anyone, from contractors, from agencies, whatever it is, you need to be able to hold a conversation with them. You need to be able to keep them accountable. Now, maybe it's from the fact that they're going to do something dodgy, or maybe it's from the fact that you aren't going to be able to keep them at a high standard, or whatever it is. There's always a knowledge gap. And so this concept is something that as I said, I live and breathe by. So I've got 2 stories to tell you about why it's important, why I think this way. So the first one, I went from being a carpenter to running a business doing $1 million a month within the space of 6 months. Now, I had no knowledge prior to that on how to run a business. I had no knowledge prior on finances, everything that goes into a business of that size, of that velocity. So there were some very steep learning curves. But one thing that I did outsource from the very start, and that we did outsource, was all of our financials and our CFO work. It was just something that was foreign to me. I had never seen a profit and loss statement in my life. I had absolutely no idea how to run a business from a financial perspective. And in turn, what happened was that was a very big mistake, purely because there were essentially no adults in the room, in terms of no one knew how the business functioned, no one knew how we made money. All we were looking at were the daily revenue numbers every day, and we were running unprofitably. Even though we're doing $1 million a month, we were spending too much. Our costs had skyrocketed. We had hired too many people. We were paying too much to agencies, and there was no financial literacy from my side. So that was my first big learning lesson, was you should know enough to be dangerous. I didn't at that time know enough to be dangerous. Now, if I was in that same position I was 6 years ago, of course I'd be in a much better position. Of course I'd understand what was going on, how to make it profitable, where to spend money and not spend money. So first lesson, super important, massive learning curve. Doesn't matter what it is. You cannot just outsource things blindly without understanding them. Second story, last year, again, recently, this happens all the time. It's not something that is just one and done. I decided to start a personal brand. No idea how to use a camera, no idea how to edit, starting from scratch. So I went and hired a videographer, went and hired editors, because I thought that was the way to fast track that process in that situation. Shot all this content, posted it, went nowhere. It all sucked. It was slow, it didn't work, it was poor quality. But I didn't understand that at that time. I was sitting there thinking, why isn't this working? Why aren't people watching my videos? Why aren't I gaining any traction on Instagram? All of these things. Wasted so much time, wasted so much money, wondering why things weren't the way that they were supposed to be. And I look back on those videos now and I can pick them apart to the nth degree and know why they didn't work. The strategy was wrong, the execution was wrong, the positioning, everything about that process was wrong. But at that time, I didn't know it. I was just paying other people who I thought would know it. Now, part of that was probably paying the wrong people, but part of that was I just couldn't keep them accountable. I didn't know anything about content. I didn't know anything about, the content I was posting. I didn't know anything about why it wasn't working. I didn't know anything about editing. Again, all of these things could have changed and could have been better. I just didn't get it right at that point in time. So the note I've written here is outsourcing only works if you do have an endless supply of money, essentially, or if it's like a positive feedback loop where you are earning money. But for most people starting out, they don't have an endless supply of money. So you can't just continue to pay someone to hopefully get you results in the future. You need to get results immediately. And so to be able to do that, I personally think is you should know enough about that thing you're outsourcing before you do it. And this leads me to my point of 2 options, essentially. And this is, I'm tying this back into, tell the stories, finance, content, but this video is essentially about content. And you should know enough about content before you outsource it, because the way I see it is you have 2 options. You either have time or you have money, but rarely do you have both. if ever. And so what this means is that you can't go and spend an endless amount of time on something, probably because you have the money to do it, or vice versa. You can't go and spend an endless amount of money, but you have the time to do it. So for me, in my position, I had lots of time, but I didn't have the money anymore because I'd blown it all on editors and videographers. So I had the time, so I went and invested my time into it. The vice versa of it started last year. I didn't have the time because I was busy doing other things. So I invested money and it didn't work. You can see how the two don't really line up. It's either one or the other, essentially, is my point that I'm getting at. And so most people have time. I think it's, broadly speaking, people have time. They say they might be busy, but the reality is if they care about something, if they want to learn it, if they want to get better, they will make the time. Most people don't have the money. That's just the way the world is. You know, most people don't have the money to go and invest endless amounts in agencies, contractors, videographers, whatever it is. So that means when you have the time, you need to invest that time into watching videos like mine, into saving them, learning the frameworks, leaning on YouTube, leaning on TikTok. You need to invest your time into learning these things first. Understand the basics, understand how CapCut works, understand pacing in videos, understand what a good hook is, understand the simple basics of like, okay, there's too much dead space in this video, it needs to be cut down. Because then when you outsource it, if you get back and edit and you just think, oh, this is cool, and you post it and it flops and you don't understand, okay, the pacing's off, the captions are shit, the emojis are tacky, whatever it is, if you can't pick that up and it's just you and your editor, or it's just you and your videographer, whatever it is, then who is there to make you get better? How are you going to get better? You're not. So it ties it all up. It's, how to be dangerous. It's just understand the basics, essentially, is what I'm getting at. It's like, watch videos like mine. Watch videos like whoever that gives you free value, that gives you frameworks that you can go away and execute on. And so I have one framework for this video in terms of how to be dangerous, just to tie this up. And this is something that I think of all the time now. Like, this is a framework that I lean on before I get to the end result of delegating something. I have this framework, and it is learn, do, delegate. Learn, do, delegate. That's it. Okay, so say I want to outsource my editing. First of all, I'm going to learn about it. I'm going to consume content about it. I'm going to watch YouTube videos about it. I'm going to understand how it works first. That is my first thing I'm going to do. So I should have done that last year. I didn't, obviously. Then I'm going to do it. Now, it may not be good. It may not be really like, I might not be happy with it. But just the process of me playing around in CapCut, learning the basics, understanding how to cut videos down, understanding what looks good on text, what fonts, captions, animations, all of those things, what looks good, what looks shit, all of that. I'm gone from learn, now I'm at do, and now I'm at the point where I've edited hundreds of videos that I can delegate it. Now, I'm not saying you need to edit hundreds of videos, but even just one video makes you a better content creator, because now next time you go and film something, you're going to know, oh, okay, my hook was really flat, I need to refilm it, or that's not going to look good on camera, I need to refilm that. So just by doing it once or twice, all of these things, by learning it, by doing it, then you can delegate it. So remember that framework. This is how to be dangerous in anything. It doesn't just go around for content. Obviously, I'm speaking about content today, but remember this, learn it, do it minimum once or twice, if not as much as possible, and then delegate it. And don't kid yourself until you don't have the time. Like, if you don't have the time, then you have to spend the money. It's as simple as that. Spend the money, get the right people in from the start. But if you don't have the money, then you got to spend the time.